Season 11's balance changes are on their way right now in Clash Royale, so let's take a look at them one by one. So in no particular order, the cards that are getting a balance change are these. We've got the Goblin Cage, Goblin Hut, Battle Healer, Magic Archer, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Earthquake, Furnace, Tornado, Baby Dragon, Barbarian Hut, and Royal Delivery. So I'm going to work through these one by one in the order that they're in the post on Clash Royale. So first up, we've got the Tornado. Now I really personally love this balance change. I feel like their reasoning for this was perfect. It's just used too much in the higher level arena, and it's just going to make it slightly more difficult to use by raising that skill cap, by making the user have to be a lot more precise with it. So you can't guarantee that you'll catch the hog or the balloon or whatever else that you're trying to tornado every single time. Personally, I think we're going to see a drop in use rates just until people start to get used to how it feels and how to use this new balanced tornado. The tower damage, in my opinion, I don't think it was entirely necessary to add this, but it was a nice little addition to the balance change, and it possibly will see it be used more offensively rather than just defensively to try and drag things to the tornado, to the center of the arena, that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll start seeing it used more in Sparky Giant decks, so that things get dragged to the tower, so that the Sparky damage can splash onto the tower as well. So next up, we've got the Royal Delivery. Personally, I think this was very, very much needed. The Royal Delivery is, in my opinion, the worst spell in the game, and I'm very vocal about the fact that I think it was only added into the game because of the sound effect that goes along with it. That's the only reason I think they added it to the game. And I definitely think it could use more of a buff, but not to the damage. I think there's one thing that it definitely needs, and there's a second thing that it could potentially use. So I'm going to start with the latter. It could possibly use slightly more pushback. So what I mean by this is that when it hits the target, it just pushes them back ever so slightly further. Maybe even just a single tile would be enough. But the buff that it 100% needs is the deployment time needs to be reduced by at least 1 second, so that it now deploys at 2 seconds instead of 3. Until this happens, I genuinely believe that the use rates for this card are going to stay relatively low. So let's move on to the Battle Healer. There is no doubt in my mind that this nerf needed to happen, but this is not enough. There's one thing that I think that this nerf should have allowed to happen, and that's for the Battle Healer to be killed by a rocket. This is a 4-cost card that gives non-stop value. Not being able to kill it with a 6-cost spell is a big deal. So the next balance change comes to the Baby Dragon. It's not one that I entirely think was necessary, but apparently this nerf was called for by the professional players. I can kind of see the reasoning, but for this particular balance change, I can take it or leave it. I'm not too fussed about how this is going to change things within the arena. So the next balance change is pretty interesting, and it comes to the Magic Archer. So they're completely wiping the slate clean. They've reset the Magic Archer back to where he was, and then reduced his health. The range increase is just going to make it slightly easier to snipe the enemy tower from your side of the arena, and demolishing the enemy push before it even starts building up. The health decrease, I don't think is going to change very much at all. So the Fireball is obviously still going to be able to kill him. The health reduction doesn't allow things like the arrows to kill him, so the only interactions that change here are what troops can kill him. So one-on-one interactions with things like the Musketeer, I think the Musketeer might actually kill him now and still survive with just a sliver of health and be able to back up a counter push. But what definitely will change is how many things the Magic Archer can kill while sniping the enemy tower. So let me picture a scenario. You're on a big push, you've got a Magic Archer sniping the enemy tower through the defensive troops. A lot of the troops are going to die. However, the amount of troops that the Magic Archer can kill after they've killed your actual push is going to be reduced because they can kill the Magic Archer a little bit easier. Now there's an unnecessary change that's being made to the Mini P.E.K.K.A. However, I love it thematically. Now I don't think the Mini P.E.K.K.A. was particularly overpowered to begin with, but look at what he is. He is a P.E.K.K.A. in small form. So it only makes sense that the medium range that goes with the Big Mama P.E.K.K.A. should be reduced to a short range for the Mini P.E.K.K.A. He's got a small sword, not a big sword. It fits thematically and I love it. It is going to affect gameplay a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a major change within the arena. So the next change is to the Earthquake. Now this change is a little bit odd and the wording here is a bit off, so I don't know what the overall numbers are going to be for this change. Basically, the bit I'm unclear about is the damage to the buildings. I'm not sure if all of the damage of the Earthquake spell is getting buffed, and then after the buff to the building damage then gets nerfed, or if just the damage to troops is going to get buffed and the building damage is only going to be reduced. So either way, the regular damage that the spell does to troops is going to go up, and the building damage is either going to get a big nerf or a minor nerf. I'm really not sure on this wording. The buff to the damage to troops is going to be enough to make the spell kill things like the princess or the dark goblin or regular goblins. It will now take only 1 tick of an Earthquake to kill skeletons, which is a pretty big deal. So if you're running the Earthquake in a hog cycle deck and you're seeing a lot of goblin gangs or skarmies being taken to defend against your hog rider, this is going to kill them off a lot easier. So the next change is to the Goblin Cage, and I'm not sure if this is going to be enough. A 6% increase to the health of the Goblin Brawler is going to make a small change, but I'm not sure if that's going to really bring the use rates up for this card. Now, I'm not sure if the change that I would like to see to the Goblin Cage is the same as everybody else's opinion, but I would like to see the health of the cage itself increased substantially. This would simply allow you to pull it down and it would distract a Hog Rider, a Royal Giant, a set of Royal Hogs just for a little bit longer, and that's what I would like to see from the Goblin Cage. So here's a big one, and I don't think it's enough. The Goblin Hut. Last season, they broke the Goblin Hut by giving free Spear Goblins at the end of the hut's life. The Spear Goblins are a 2-cost card. They just added that into a 5-cost card free of charge. So the hit point reduction here is appreciated, but it is not the nerf that the players are calling for. The nerf everybody wants is either the free goblins at the end to be removed, or at the very least to be reduced by at least 1. Do not give free goblins at the end. Again, that's a 2-cost card that they're giving this 5-cost card for nothing. Now the Furnace's balance changes aren't entirely necessary in my opinion, but I can understand why they've done it. The Furnace can be a little bit of a pain to deal with, but personally I just like to get value on a spell by catching the Furnace and a troop in that spell's damage. So the Barbarian Hut is up next, and this is kind of a big deal. The Barbarian Hut has always had high health, and reducing it by 20% is going to make it a lot easier to deal with. On top of that, it's one of the 2 buildings that are part of the Elixir Golem healer decks that are going around at the moment, and if nothing else, that deck needs a nerf, which may be the reasoning behind this choice. Something else I'd like to add about the Earthquake at this point is that all of these buildings getting a reduction in health could be the reason they're choosing to reduce the damage to buildings, so that it doesn't bring too much value when you use them against the Furnace, a Spear Goblin Hut, or a Barbarian Hut. So I hope you've enjoyed this little chat about the balance changes that are coming to Clash Royale in the coming days. Don't forget they go live on the 5th of May, so if you enjoy playing with these cards as they are, get as much playtime in as you can, because there are a lot of changes here. So if you've enjoyed this little chat about the balance changes that are coming to Clash Royale on the 5th of May, why not hit me up on Twitch? You can find me there every Saturday and Sunday at 12 noon UK time, and as often as I can at 7:30 PM during the weekdays. I'd love to have a chat with you guys about these balance changes live, and I'd love to find out what your opinions are, what they could have done better, what you think they've overdone, and how you think it's going to affect the meta. Something else I'd like to mention while I've got you is we have a pretty cool feature on the Twitch channel now. So you can go over there, there's a command in the chat that actually allows you to affect the stream itself. So I've put a lot of time and effort into taking some of the emotes out of the game and making them an interactive feature on the stream itself. Go over there, go and spam the emotes on the stream, and I hope you really enjoy playing with them. So as always, with everything said and done, have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you on the next one. Just got out of a swimming pool. Let's do this. Let's get down. Let's get down. So I've just got out of a swimming pool. It's all flowing. You go, whoo, and then